Good morning. Whether you're joining us online, on public television, or here at the church in person, welcome to First Unitarian Universalist Church of Austin. I am Chris Jimerson, co-lead minister for values and mission at the church. My pronouns are he, him. I am so thrilled to be back with you after being out last week to go to our annual Unitarian Universalist General Assembly, where I picked up this new stole. I do not need another stole. It has tropical fish on it, y'all. We are a spiritual community dedicated to a free and responsible search for truth, meaning, and beauty. This morning, I am so thrilled to welcome to help lead us through that search in this service, Julica Herman de la Fuente. Our guest worship leader, I was so fortunate to share some classes with Julica while we were in seminary together, and I've watched her become an important coach for anti-racism, anti-oppression, and justice in our faith. So I'm so glad she's here this morning. She comes to us from Minneapolis, so Julica, thank you for bringing us this cold front we're all enjoying this morning. A high of 98 today, y'all. I also want to welcome our visitors this morning, whether you're joining us online or in person. If you're online, please say hello in the comments and let us know from where you're watching the service. If you're here with us in person, please join us for coffee and conversation after the service. That's back through the double doors, through the triple doors, and to your right. Either way, please go to austinuu.org, click worship, and then click on the link for our online visitors forum. We'd love to learn more about you. We come from a long tradition of seeing a spark of the divine in every person. And it's in that tradition that I invite you to greet the holy among us by saying hello in the comments if you're online, or turning to those around you here in the sanctuary. Please join me in our words for lighting the chalice. This is the flame we hold in our hearts as we strive for justice for everyone. This is the light we shine upon systems of oppression until they are no more. This is the warmth that we share with one another as our struggle becomes our salvation.
Hi. I'm so happy to be here with you. As Chris said, my name is Julica. My pronouns are she or ella in Spanish. And I offer you these words from the Reverend Rosemary Bray McNatt. By no means are we Unitarian Universalists perfect. We often fail as much as we succeed. Yet even when we have broken our vows 1,000 times, we return to this essential work of justice and liberation for all. We do the work best when we remember what church is and what it is not. Church is not a place to hide. It is not the place to get away from the world. It is not a place where we get to pretend that the lives we live and our particular situations are not terribly complex, often confusing, and sometimes depressing. Church is the place where we stand with one another, look the world in the eye, attempt to see clearly, and gather strength to face what we see with courage and, yes, with joy. Come, let us worship together. Join me in singing, "There is More Love Somewhere," and let us rise in all the different ways that we rise. To do so, please.
This congregation has a mission. It's our common religious purpose. It guides our decision-making. It informs all of our programs and ministries. We put it on our wall and we say it together every Sunday so that we might more readily carry it in our hearts throughout the week. Let's do so now. Together, we nourish souls, transform lives, and do justice to build the beloved community.
Out a city of angels, but we can build a city of man. When your trust is all but shattered, when your faith is all but killed, you can give up bitter and battered, or you can slowly start to build a beautiful city. Yes, we can. Yes, we can. We can build a beautiful city, not a city of angels, but finally a city of man.
Is it on? Maybe it's on. Hello? Hello? It's green.
There it goes.
Okay, that was funny. Thank you, Reverend Chris. So I would love to have a conversation with the young people in the room, and I would love for you to join me. And Kelly is not able to be with us. I asked Kelly to come help, so Erin is coming instead because she knows that I'm very nice and safe. She's a good friend of mine. Chris is coming too. Awesome. Thank you for joining me. I love your shoes. They are the best. Yes. Okay, cool. So what I would like to do is have a conversation with you so that we can teach our grown-ups a few things about joy, okay? So the first question I have for you is, how do you know when you feel joyful, when you feel happy? Where do you feel happy in your body? Right here, Nico? Yeah, what does it feel like? You feel like ice. That is fancy. That is some hardcore somatic work right there. Very cool, very cool. What else do our bodies do when we feel happy? How do we know that you're happy? Or how do you know that your grown-ups are happy? You feel it in your shoulders? Yeah? I wag my tail. I pretend I have a tail, and I wag it. But probably the easiest way to know that we are happy is because we're smiling, right? Now, that's a good smile. Thank you, Miko. I really like that smile. What makes you so happy every time it happens? Yes. Makeup. This is my girl right here. Why does makeup make you happy? Why? Why does it make you happy? Tell me about makeup. Oh, you like putting on your grandma? Yeah. And does that make your grandma look very shiny and fabulous and pretty? Yeah. What's your name? Ronnie. I love your story about makeup. Thank you. Another story about being happy. What makes you happy? How about you, Alice? Do you have something that makes you super happy? No, that's okay. I know it's a big deal to talk in front of all of the people. Robin, do you want to tell me what makes you happy? No. Over there's another Robin that says no. But maybe you want to tell me what makes you happy. Playing. Playing makes you happy. That is so true. Having fun, relaxing. Okay, now we're getting to the part where we're going to actually tell the grown-ups, okay? What do grown-ups need to be more happy? I actually want to give you the microphone so that you can tell them directly.
I don't.
You tease me. Have you seen a grown-up be happy? Yeah. Okay. And when are they happy?
Them are happy when the smile.
When they smile, of course. What are other things that grown-ups need to know about being happy? Mommies make us happy. This is very true. Quinn, do you want to say something about what grown-ups need to be happier? You're still thinking. Okay. Okay.
While they're thinking, I'll say time with my friends really makes me happy. That's why I'm extra smiley that Julica's here, and that Chris is here, and that all of you are here.
Thank you, Erin. I think you should just say what you're thinking. Don't worry about it. You don't know. Because it's hard. It's hard to say things out loud and worry that we're going to say it wrong. So one thing that makes me happy is not worrying. Not worrying about what other people think. This is your sister? Hi, Nora. It's nice to meet you. Would you like to say something about what you think makes grown-ups happy? No, that's okay. Oh, hi. Okay.
I like playing with my moms.
Good job. Thank you for being brave and saying what makes you happy. You like to suck your thumb? That makes you happy? Music. Bobby Firmino's song. Because dancing and music is also important and helpful. Okay.
When I grow up, I want to go to Costa Rica someday. When I'm a teenager.
Yes. Travel makes a lot of people happy. I think going to Costa Rica is an excellent idea. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah. All right. I'm going to ask you to turn around and look at your grown-ups. Wave. And say, I want you to be happy. Good job. Now let's go to religious education and sing you out. couldn't hear myself, but that's cool. This poem, Bahafta, by Aurora Levin Morales, really encapsulates what I hope you take away about the journey of joy and justice. And I do want to prepare you that there are some strong images in this poem, okay? Say these words when you lie down and when you rise up, when you go out and when you return, in times of mourning and in times of joy. Inscribe them on your doorposts, embroider them on your garments, tattoo them on your shoulders, teach them to your children, your neighbors, your enemies, recite them in your sleep, here in the cruel shadow of empire. Another world is possible. Thus spoke the prophet Roque Dalton. Altogether they have more death than we, but altogether we have more life than they. There is more bloody death in their hands than we could ever wield, unless we lay down our souls to become them. And then we will lose everything. So instead, imagine winning. This is your sacred task. This is your power. Imagine every detail of winning, the exact smell of the summer streets in which no one has been shot, the muscles you have never unclenched from worry, gone soft as newborn skin, the sparkling taste of food when we know that no one on earth is hungry, that the beggars are fed, that the old man under the bridge and the woman wrapping herself in thin sheets in the back seat of a car, and the children who suck on stones nest under a flock of roofs that keep multiplying their shelter. Lean with all your being toward that day when the poor of the world shake down a rain of good fortune out of the heavy clouds, and justice rolls down like waters. Defend the world in which we win as if it were your child. It is your child. Defend it as if it were your lover. It is your lover. When you inhale and when you exhale, breathe the possibility of another world into the 37.2 trillion cells of your body until it shines with hope. Then imagine more. Imagine rape is unimaginable. Imagine war is a scarcely credible rumor, that the crimes of our age, the grotesque inhumanities of greed, the sheer and astounding shamelessness of it, the vast fortunes made by stealing lives, the horrible normalcy it came to have, is unimaginable to our heirs, the generations of the free. Don't waver. Don't let despair sink its sharp teeth into the throat with which you sing. Escalate your dreams. Make them burn so fiercely that you can follow them down any dark alleyway of history and not lose your way. Make them burn clear as a starry drinking gourd over the grim fog of exhaustion, and keep walking. Hold hands, share water, keep imagining, so that we and the children of our children's children may live. I know that's a word, right? Yeah.
This is the time in our service where we center ourselves together. We breathe together. And breathing together, some pray, Some meditate, some commune with the divine as we understand the divine. And breathing together, we follow that breath to a deeper place inside, a place of greater wisdom, a place where we know pure joy, a place of greater love, a place where we're driven to cry out for justice, to build the beloved community. That place where a spark of the divine dwells within each of us. And breathing together, we enter into a time of sacred silence together, remembering that the sounds of small children and other human sounds are a part of that silence in this congregation. Breathing in, breathing out. We now enter into that time of sacred silence together. In a moment, I will invite you to light candles, candles of joy, sorrow, hope, remembrance, resilience. As we light our candles, please hold in your hearts the friends and loved ones of Alice Cashman as we miss her after the memorial service we held for Alice yesterday here in this sanctuary. Please also hold your beloveds who are processing Supreme Court decisions that legalized discrimination against us this past week. I now invite you to light candles, and when our music comes to an end, to maintain the meditative silence.
Imagine there's no heaven. It's easy if you try. No hell below us. Above us only sky. Imagine all the people living for today. Imagine there's no countries. It isn't hard to do. Nothing to kill Imagine no possessions. I wonder if you can. No need for greed or hunger. A brotherhood of men. Imagine all the people sharing all the world. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you will join us, and the world will live as one.
Oh, Laura, thank you. Right? That longing, that imagining. Yeah, that's it. So, I think in order to get to that imagining, to that joy, first we need to do a little bit of unburdening. What a week! What a year, what a 4-year, what a decade. I mean, like, we're going to play a game called And Another Thing. And that's basically a verbal pylon of all of the things that are just much too much. We could also call it I Just Can't Even. But the reason that we call it And Another Thing is because we say And Another Thing every time we're going to add something to the pile. So I'm going to invite you to engage with me and share things out loud for others to hear. It's okay if only the people next to you can hear. It's okay if we create a cacophony of lament, because we are going to release some of that energy. We're going to have a little bit of catharsis. So, think about a couple things that you would like to release, and I'm going to get us started. And then you'll join me, right? You'll join me? Yes. Okay, thank you. Okay. The pandemic finished breaking my executive function. I mean, I used to be good at faking that I had things together, but not anymore. Not anymore. And another thing, is the pandemic really over? No. I mean, but yes, but no. Like, and another thing, there's too many emails. There's too many emails. And thank you. I mean, it's real. It's real. And another thing, perimenopause and hot flashes. What? Okay, help me out. And another thing, the Texas grid. Keep going. Yes. Yes. Turn to the person next to you and say, and another thing. Triple-digit heat. Right? Right? Everybody go, huh. Woo, shake it out. Shake it out. Woo. Let's breathe. Let's audibly sigh. right? I mean, I hope that feels good. I hope that helps. I hope that you realize, right, I'm not alone. I'm not the only one grieving. I'm not the only one struggling. I'm not the only one overwhelmed by the vast inequity, the sheer and astounding shamelessness of greed, the horrible normalcy of police brutality, of children in cages. Let's breathe again. That's why we come to church, to remind ourselves that we are not struggling alone, to have a community of fellow travelers, to harness the energy of the larger body, to feel connected, to have a place to belong. Belonging is at the center of what we do here at church. Our UU congregations are an antidote to all the things. At its best, they are the place where we come back to charge back up and make deeper meaning and find the right next action to get into and stay in good trouble. I think that the reason that there is comfort in doing and another thing together is that somewhere along the line we were trained to believe that if we don't have it all figured out, if we don't have it all looking like Architectural Digest, Martha Stewart, Oprah Magazine, something, then we're doing it wrong. And another thing helps us to see all the ways that life is too much, and it allows us to break the facade. We have been holding ourselves to unreasonably high standards. We have trained ourselves to believe that we are only as good as what we produce and what we accomplish. I'm going to say that again. We have trained ourselves to believe that we are only as good as what we produce and what we accomplish. So let's dig into that a little bit more. I really want to explore that. Why? Why do we create and try to live up to these unreasonable standards that have us living stressed and feeling insufficient, that separate us from other people, that create this experience of frustration and isolation? And how do we strengthen our imagination muscles? How do we get better at the task of imagining winning? How and why did it get so hard to challenge the status quo? Well, of course, it's always been hard because the status quo is set up to be that, the status quo, the way things are, the existing state of affairs. And one of the ways that the status quo maintains itself, one of the tricks that it uses to stay in place, is to give shape and limits to the stories that we tell and we are able to imagine. It's hard to imagine winning when you've never visited Wakanda. But once Wakanda becomes a possibility in your imagination, other things become possible too. I know that there is a few people in this room that are not Marvel fans. I still love you. We're good? Wakanda is the land of the Black Panther. It's a place in Africa that was never enslaved or colonized. My heart grew bigger. My imagination got a little bit more fierce after I watched that movie. I recommend it to you if you can tolerate violent action movies. It's violent, but it's also beautiful and really powerful message. Another way the status quo maintains its hold on us is by defining the parameters of what is good and moral in a way that keeps us focused on impossible individual achievements. I want to say more about this. I was lucky to study with the ethicist Dr. Sharon Welch at Meadville Lombard with Chris and Aaron. Dr. Welch wrote a book called The Feminist Ethic of Risk. And in this book, she analyzes and compares the definitions of goodness across different social groups. and particularly the way that white people define goodness and morality, and how this compares to the way African American womanist theologians and writers make sense of what is good and right and valuable. Sharon looks at the way that African American women survive and thrive in the intersection of racism and sexism. And what Dr. Welch found is that white folks have created what she calls an ethic of control. For white folks who are historically grounded in the white Protestant ethic of work, goodness is defined as the ability to control the outcome of their actions. The ethic of control says, in order to be a good person, I need to do good deeds and demonstrate my goodness through my actions. And it's not just my actions, it's the outcome of my actions. Consider the mythology of this country, the stories that we lift up to tell us what is good. Look at all the heroes that singularly change everything. Some of you here in this room are old enough to remember the first Superman movie. Do you remember what happens when Lois Lane dies? He flies around the world in the opposite direction of the rotation to turn back time. No big deal, you know. That's how we do it when our beloveds die. Yeah. And it's not just Superman. It's Luke Skywalker. It's Harry Potter. It's Frodo. Yeah, some of them have teams supporting them, but at the final moment, it's all about them and their strength, their capacity to use the Force and destroy the Death Star, toss the ring back into the volcano, although that's really Sam, isn't it? But that's a whole other analysis. In any case, all of these stories are teaching us that if we want to be good, we have to be heroic. We have to overcome overwhelming odds. And of course, when we compare our lives against these heroic stories, we always fall short. And let me add that the ethic of control is a way of being that many of us in the global majority, those of us who are people of color, we have also bought into. We have assimilated into white institutions in order to survive. We've had a glass or two of that Kool-Aid, and we are holding ourselves to these unreasonable heroic standards as well. Maybe even higher standards, because our parents and grandparents taught us to work our tushies off and never give them a reason. The antidote to the ethic of control is what Sharon Welch calls the ethic of risk. The ethic of risk is what African American womanist theologians and writers identify as the way to successfully navigate the challenges of racism and sexism and the intersection of them. The ethic of risk defines goodness as the capacity to take strategic risks in community. When we operate from an ethic of risk, we define what is moral and good as the ability to strategically choose the risks that we take together to move the needle and challenge the status quo. Many of you will recognize the Serenity Prayer by Reinhold Niebuhr that says, "God grant me the courage to change what I can, the serenity to accept what I cannot change, and the wisdom to know the difference." Right? You've heard that one before? Well, Sharon Welch says that the ethic of risk takes us far from this prayer and this orientation. She writes, "The drive of moral life is that we can never know the difference between that which we can change and that which we cannot. Our challenge is to move creatively in a very different sort of adventure, one whose prayer is more like this: what improbable task with which unpredictable results shall we undertake today?" Let me read that again. What improbable task with which unpredictable results shall we undertake today? In trading an ethic of control for an ethic of risk, she writes, and in living out this ethos, We can neither undo the past nor control the future, but we can learn from the past, and we can live creatively, responsibly, and compassionately in the present. Can I get an amen? Amen. Thank you very much. Now, I learned a Mexican version of this ethic of risk, and it wasn't until a few years ago that I have come to realize how central it is to my theology and to my commitment to liberation and transformation. So I want to tell you the story of how I learned this way of being, and why it's become so important to me. I grew up in Mexico. I came here when I was 18. And when I was a teenager, my mom used to take me to this place called El Unicornio, the unicorn. It was a little restaurant theater, kind of like dinner theater, but instead of the musical shows that they do in dinner theater here, what they would do there is play guitar music and read poetry. It was really, really wonderful. It was this long room with long tables, and we all sat together. It was 3 long tables, and there was artwork all around the room with different representations of unicorns. The one that I remember the most, for whatever reason, is an apple with a unicorn horn. It was really cute, yeah. And there was a phrase across the top that said, "No se puede vivir como si la belleza no existiera." We cannot live as if beauty does not exist. It was a wonderful place. It was a place of magic and inspiration, and my favorite show of all of them was Borges con Música. It was a poetry and music evening with the poetry of Jorge Luis Borges. And if you have not met Jorge Luis Borges, may I introduce you? Oh, my heavens. His poetry is truly magnificent, really just pushing us to think and feel and reach. And so in this show, there's a moment where Germán Dehesa, the leader of the show, the rabble-rouser extraordinaire, he was a pretty important public figure in Mexico City. He has since passed and is now one of my ancestors. Germán tells a story in between poems, and it's an allegory, and he says, Borges, the student, went searching. And then he found Borges, the teacher, and he said, "Teacher, what are the responsibilities of humanity?" And Borges, the teacher, said to Borges, the student, 2 are the responsibilities of humanity: to be joyful and to be just. And you cannot sacrifice joy in order to have justice, and you cannot sacrifice justice in order to have joy. It is at the intersection of the 2 that we find the best expression of being human. This intersection of joy and justice has become the center of my anti-racism work. And I knew that this message would be well received here because you have a minister for joy and justice. What excellent, excellent work, people. Good job. Because on the one hand, it's not sustainable to do anti-racism work in ways that make us feel guilty or bad about the way that we have not been able to control the outcome of our actions. And I personally cannot and will not do anti-racism work from a place of anger and frustration, because that will make me sick and it will kill me. And I'm not gonna die. Not from that anyway. I need to feel hopeful and joyful in order to imagine winning. I will not sacrifice joy for the sake of justice. And on the other hand, neither can we sacrifice justice for the sake of joy. Because really, that's kind of called numbing. That's just another Netflix binge. Which, there's a place for it sometimes. Sometimes we need a break. But if that's all we do to try to find joy, is this senseless seeking of what one of my friends called shadow comfort, then at the end of whatever episode, whatever binge, whatever thing we're doing, that is still there. We cannot sacrifice this need to make meaning and to make the world a better place. That's the justice piece in order to have joy. The place of real satisfaction for me is this, that I belong to a community that is making a difference. That community is Unitarian Universalism. And I am doing my part by following what feels good and right in my body. I am taking good care of myself, and I'm pursuing the things that give me joy, because when I am joyful, I can do the work better. As our colleague Carol Sissel says, I serve from the saucer because my cup runneth over. I serve from the saucer because my cup runneth over. When I am joyful, my imagination is bigger. When I am joyful, I am more curious, more playful, more flexible. When I am joyful, I am already winning. I invite you to join me in this place of hope and possibility. I invite you to investigate your own personal intersection of joy and justice, the thing that you care deeply about, and the thing that you do well naturally and that makes you feel good. I will meet you at the intersection of those things, and we will keep on taking risks together. Amen? Amen. Vamos. Okay, now let's sing. When the Spirit says do.
This is hymn 1024 in your TL hymnal.
Dance when the Spirit says dance.
Give yourselves one more round of applause. That was great. One of the ways that we generate joy and justice at this church is through our religious education programs. And that's not just for the students, but for their teachers also. To tell us a little more about that, I invite Molly Hahn.
Hello. My name is Molly. I am one of the RE teachers here, and I have been for about 5 years. And so I am here to give a plug and let you know a little bit about what it's like, why I do it, and why I invite you to join as a teacher in the fall. So as I mentioned, I've been doing it for 5 years. Why do I keep coming back? I think a lot of the reasons we've talked about today. First of all, it's really fun. Whatever you like to do, whether that's read stories, make art, meditate, do yoga, play games. Those are all things that you can come and do in class and have fun with the amazing youth we have in this community doing. It's really, really joyful. It's also a great way to meet people in the church. So it's one of the first things that I did when I first started coming here about 6 years ago. And the RE staff are incredible. The other teachers are super cool people to become friends with. And you really get to know a lot of the families, both at like pickup and also through family events. So when I come, a lot of the people, that I see and I say hi to and I chit-chat with are folks that I met through being a teacher. So if you're not necessarily like a small talk and house and hall, introduce yourself out of the blue kind of comfortable person, which I am not, it's a great way to get to know people in a little bit more of a structured one-on-one way that doesn't feel like you're really having to do that kind of out of the blue introduction, which really helps you feel more connected, right? And that's kind of the third and most important reason, is that it really helps deepen your understanding of and connection to kind of you overall in this church specifically. So all the things that you hear, the mission and the service topics and the monthly themes and the principles, you get to experience those in a way that is sort of reinterpreted for the youth audience. So you get to think about them and reflect and engage with them in a bit of a different way that really helps you understand them more. Like, I don't know if any of you just know the 8 principles off the top of your head, but I do, because there's a little rainbow version of them, right? So you really get to experience things in a way that's a little bit different and helps you understand and appreciate them a little bit more. And you also, sometimes, I didn't grow up UU, I'm sure many of you didn't either, and we sit here and we see these incredible interactions, and we hear these things and think, man, what would it have been like if I had grown up with adults around me who said, the way that you are, who you are, it's not just okay, it's really great. And your thoughts and your feelings, they matter and they're important, and we'd like to hear them. Can you share them with us? Because they're really important and wonderful. And there are things that are not great in the world, but we can all acknowledge that together and talk about that together and be a part of addressing those things together as part of a supportive community. And when you teach, you get to be one of the adults that gets to say those things and make the kids understand and feel and believe those things and be a part of building that beloved community that we talk about so much. And it really is gratifying and makes you feel like you're doing your part, right? You understand the importance of UU as a cultural element, but also a literal community here in this church that makes people's lives a little bit better and more supportive and feels like the antidote to all of these heavy things. So you get a really tangible way to be a part of that. And it's really flexible, and you can come every once in a while, you can come pretty regularly, and it's a really great experience. And I encourage you, if you are so moved, to think about being a part of the RE program in the fall as a teacher, whether or not you have experience with kids. You'll never be kind of the only person there, and there's always lots of support and encouragement. So I hope you'll think about it in the fall, and I know Kelly and other folks will kind of share more as the summer goes on about what that looks like and how to get involved. So hope to see you in the fall, and thank you for your time.
Thank you, Molly. Let there now be an offering to support the mission and ministries of this church. If you're with us online, you can go to austinuu.org and click on Give to First UU. If you're online or here in person, you can text your contribution to 84321. And here in the sanctuary, the ushers will now gratefully collect the offering.
Ready to go back out for another week? I offer you. I forgot something?
Extinguishing the chalice.
I extinguished the challenge. You were supposed to do that.
Yes.
I was ready to just benedict you all.
This is why I love her. Thank you so much for your gifts. You are truly a gift to this church. And my gift to you is to announce that we have no announcements this morning. Please join me in our words for extinguishing the chalice. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we hold in our hearts until we are together again.
Okay, now I can send you off. With these words from the Right Reverend Marta Valentin. In the intersection of joy and justice, down in the center between its twin leaves, where the moist murkiness is rife with possibilities, where joy is shaking roots and vibrating bodies as it grows towards the luminosity that is liberation. Joy is pushing justice up through the tiniest aperture, pushing towards its blooming inevitability, pushing in such a tender yet fierce way that justice has no choice but to erupt and burst into 1,000 seeds that send their joy to scout more joy, and together create a dark yet fulgent promise to honor both joy and justice, or none at all. May it be so. Amen. Blessed be, and have a wonderful week, friends.
you.